Today we're going to go through the bottom watering method, the string method, the bathtub method, and the slow drip method. Hello, I'm Ctenanthe and I have over 100 houseplants. I also go traveling multiple times a year for up to a month at a time. This means I have lots of tips and tricks to share with you about how to keep your houseplants happy and thriving whilst you're away. Today we're going to go through my 4 favorite methods. Now you only really need to do these if you are going away for over a week in summer and over 2 weeks in winter. If you're going away for any less than that, you can just give them a good soak before you leave. Let's go through the bathtub method, the bowl method, the slow drip method, and the string method. For any cacti or succulents like this cereus, I like to just give them a water before I go away. I wouldn't worry about setting up any kind of watering system unless I was going away for 2 months or more, because they're desert plants, they're used to not having water. What I do recommend though is moving them into a really sunny spot. I move them all right in front of the windows so that they can get lots of sunlight whilst I am away. The same goes for my string of pearls, my euphorbia as well, my string of hearts, the Schlumberger, and also my snake plants. When I go away, I leave my blinds half open. This way sunlight can get in without alerting to everybody that no one is home. It is so important that your houseplants are still getting sunlight while you are away. Please, please do not close your blinds before you go. For my large snake plant, I'm just going to move it right up against the window. This is a south-facing window, so it'll get the evening sunlight coming through. I know some people say this is a low-light houseplant, but I have not found that is the case. If you want it to grow big and strong, it needs to see the sun. One of my favourite methods, and one I've been using for over 5 years now, is the bathtub method. For this to work, you must have natural sunlight in your bathroom, so a window or a skylight, which is what I have. This is how much light I get in the day. There are no lights on and it's actually a pretty cloudy day, so it gets a lot brighter as well. I cannot stress this enough. Keeping your plants watered is very important when you're away, but they must also have sunlight. Now let's get into the bathtub method. I use this for all of my water-loving plants, such as my Begonia, Calathea, Ferns, Pothos, and also some Monsteras. For this to work, you must have drainage holes in your planters, or you can also use nursery pots. So I'm going to pop in my Begonia, my Calathea, my peace lily, my Monstera Deliciosa, my maidenhair fern, my mixed planter, and also my neon pothos. We don't want this sitting in water, so I've got it up over the edge of the bath. Now, don't skip this step. I'm now going to put my plug in and add about 1 inch of water. Okay, so the plug is in. I've had comments before saying it's crazy to let water run for up to a month, and that is crazy, so I don't do it. There is a plug in and I'm just adding 1 inch of water. So no, you shouldn't get root rot because you're only adding 1 inch of water. This is enough that the roots aren't going to be saturated or sitting in water stagnant the whole time, but as they dry out they can absorb more water up. It also works well for plants that like high humidity because you are grouping them together, which is more natural humidity. For some disclaimers, if you do have a tap which leaks, I don't recommend this method because you don't want it to overflow whilst you're away. And again, you must have natural sunlight. This will not work if your bathroom does not have any. You could attempt grow lights on timers, but the water, grow lights, no one being here, that makes me nervous, so I don't recommend that. The longest I have left my plants using this method is for a month. When I came back, there was barely any water left, but all the plants looked great. If you're worried about fungus gnats or mosquitoes, you can definitely put up some sticky traps before you leave as well. And that is the bathtub method. On to the next method. For a lot of my bigger houseplants, like the Monstera Thai constellation, I have them planted in nursery pots, which have plenty of drainage holes, and I have these sitting inside my decorative pots on a saucer or in a bowl. And let me show you. So you can see there is a saucer inside of here. I'm going to fill up the saucer with water, put the plant on, and then also soak the soil of the plant as well. When I've left it before in summer, I popped it in the shower first to really soak the soil and also wash down the leaves. Just adding the water to the base. I'll put my plant in and then drench the soil as well. Now I'm just going to water from the top as well. As the Thai constellation is more prone to root rot than the Deliciosa, this is all I'm going to do for this one. For my large Monstera Deliciosa downstairs, I am going to do the slow drip method as well. Just like my Monstera Thai constellation, my bird of paradise is also in a nursery pot sitting on a saucer inside this big white decorative pot. I'm not going to take it out and show you because she is about 30 kilos, so you'll just have to believe me. Much with my Thai constellation, I'm going to really soak the soil, and I'm also going to use the slow drip method. So obviously it's a bottle. You can use an old wine bottle, water bottle, whatever you've got on hand. Even plastic if you're just doing it while you're away, but obviously if you're doing it full time, plastic doesn't look that great. Now you can shove the bottle straight into your potting medium, but if you have a very chunky potting medium, then the water might run straight through. So I like to use a terracotta spike as well. So the terracotta spike lives in the soil. You can see this one has some potting medium stuck to it. And then you put the bottle in the top, and that's how the slow drip method works. Stick this in your soil first, fill this with water, and it'll sit in there like this. I have found this lasts from 2 to 3 weeks, so it is really good for your larger plants when you are traveling. So I use the slow drip method on these year round, but I make sure to fill it up before I go away. As the Strelitzia likes a lot of water, I am going to top water as well, as I said. You can also probably see that she is next to a window, so she's going to get plenty of sunlight. You can definitely add a slow release fertilizer as well for whilst you are away, but as I said, it is winter in Australia. I have already fertilized this season, so they don't need any more now. For my pink princess philodendron, we're going to use the bowl method and the slow drip method as well. So like most of my houseplants, except for my cacti and succulents, I have my plant in a nursery pot inside the decorative planter. I do this for a few reasons, but the two main reasons are, one, it makes it so much easier when it's time to repot because these nursery pots are malleable, so you can squeeze the plant out. And secondly, they have really great drainage holes, so you don't have to worry about looking for decorative planters with drainage holes. You can fill it all the way up. Much like the bathtub method, it is not enough to soak the roots the entire time, but it is enough that there will be a water reservoir at the base when your plant does need more water. So instead of a big bottle, I'm going to add one of these glass mushrooms, which is filled with water as well. This is another great slow drip method. I find it doesn't need a terracotta spike because the opening is a lot smaller, so water's not going to come gushing out. The trick to these is putting them in straight up and down, not on an angle. That really helps to slow the flow. And it won't work if you've got super chunky soil because you need a bit of the soil to clog the opening, which also helps to slow the flow. You can see the water is not gushing up and it's straight up and down. For any houseplants which are stuck in plates or that don't fit in your bathtub, you can use the bowl method. And that will be happy for 3 to 4 weeks now. Make sure none of your palea leaves are in the water as they may drop off whilst you're away. My Monstera Deliciosa also already has a terracotta spike in it, so I'm going to add this bottle full of water to the spike, and again that'll last 2 to 3 weeks. The fiddly fig does like to dry out in between watering as well, so I'm not going to add a spike to this one. When I travel, I usually use the bowl method for it. It is already on a saucer in the decorative pot, as most of my plants are. But if I'm going away for up to a month, then I do put it in a bigger bowl with a bigger reserve in the base. Again, I'm not going to do that today. You'll just have to trust me, and you can see it in previous videos I've done. Now let's go through the string method. All you're going to need is some string, a straw, and some scissors. Also your plant. So you can use a regular planter and nursery pot. You need the drainage holes at the base, as that is what the string is going to go through. Or you can buy a special planter which has a hole in the base and a reservoir at the bottom. The method is the same. I will add strings to both so you can see how they work. So all you need is to get your string and cut a length which is long enough that it can go around the top of your planter, down through the soil and into the bottom where your water will be. So this is long enough. Just going to chop that. Now you don't need the straw, but it does make it a lot easier. So I'm going to thread my string through my straw. This is just so we can get it through the soil into the base. If you're repotting, it would be the perfect time to add a string as well, as you can put it in an empty nursery pot, which would obviously be a lot easier. Now I'm going to thread it through the soil of my plant. So get out of here so you can see easier. Okay. So you want to thread it through anywhere where there is a drainage hole towards the camera. Okay, so you can see I've got a hole here, so I'm going to push through here. You can see that the straw is poking out the bottom with the string there as well, so now you just pull that through. See, now I can just easily pull the string through. And a bit of soil, but don't worry about that. Okay, so now I've got my string through. Pull the straw out. Easy. So now I have my string out to the bottom and also through the top. So I'm just going to wrap this around at the very top of my plant, which makes sure that the water will travel up the string and get all the way around. You see how it's twisted around there? Perfect. And now I'm going to put it back in this planter. Now I'm going to thread the string through the planter. So again, you can see that it's coming out the base. Now this bottom saucer I'm going to fill with water and then place the top one on top of it with the string in this water. So my base saucer is filled with water now. I'm going to put my plant on top and the string will go in the water. And just like that. So now the string will absorb the water and it will go up through the plant and around the top as well. I find that this lasts for about 3 weeks with twine which is quite thin. This twine is quite thin. You can use thicker twine as well, which does last longer. You want to make sure the twine that you use is a natural fiber, nothing covered in plastic, because that will stop the absorption. So this is my stunning Maranta, which is a prayer plant. I find all prayer plants a very high water need, just like the calathea. I recommend the string method. Again, you can use it year-round for water-loving plants such as this one, which are happy to always be moist, or you can just use it when you're traveling on any plant, really. So again, I'm going to cut my twine. And do it the same thing. So just going to grab my straw and thread it through. Then pull it through. And the same process. So I'm just going to push it through the plant out through one of the bottom holes. Pushing some soil through as well. That's alright. We've already made a mess. This one you can see easier how the string has come through. Just grab onto the string and pull the straw out. And I've got this extra twine which I'm going to wind around the top. So you can see there's no holes in this one. So I'm just going to fill this with, again, 1 inch of water. And pop my plant in with the string going into the water first. Now you may be wondering how this is different from just putting water in the base of your plant or the bowl method. This is different from the bowl method because the twine pulls the water up from the base all the way through the plant to the top and then disperses it on top of the plant as well as through it. Whereas using the bowl method really keeps the bottom half of the plant wet, but you will often have dry topsoil still. So this is definitely a good method for water-loving plants that like to be soaked through. Now this wasn't on my list of things to go through today, but I do have a lot of plants that live fully in hydro. I have this peace lily and I have 2 monsteras. I also have a lot of water propagations all around my house. Yes, even in ceramic. Look at those fruits. Ah. And these honestly do the best when I'm gone because they're already in so much water. So before I leave, I just top them up, which I would do anyway. You can add a little liquid fertilizer and that's it. So I do recommend if you do travel a lot and you want houseplants still that you get into hydro plants because you can leave them and they'll be absolutely fine. Marvin's awake. Okay. Hi. You will hear him to be tapping around now looking for snacks. I'll get you one in a minute. So last time I left my plants for over a month, I came back and there was some algae growth in my water propagations. This is because I wasn't there to top it up with fresh water, but They all rooted a lot in the time that I was gone, and they were all still happy, albeit a little green. All of my hydroplants are absolutely fine as well. So definitely one to think about if you travel a lot. When you get back from your holiday and take your houseplants out of the bathtub, there may be some potting medium left over in the bottom. Now, we don't want that going down into your drain and clogging up your system. So of course I have a hack for that as well. These are the mesh rounds that I use in the base of my pots when I'm repotting. It stops soil from running out when you water them, and it's going to do the same thing to stop soil going down my drain. So let me show you. So you can see there's some debris and potting medium in the base. I'm going to pull out the plug and cover it with this straight away. So you can see it has caught any of that potting mix and stopped it going down the drain. And that's it. Easy, right? I hope these tips can help you on your next holiday. Let me know in the comments if you have any other questions. And of course, let me know if you try these yourself. Bye.